Okay, so let's turn now to Kitchenette Building by Gwendolyn Brooks. I'll start again just by reading it. Um, excuse me. We are things of dry hours and the involuntary plan, grayed in and gray. Dream makes a giddy sound, not strong, like rent feeding a wife, satisfying a man. But could a dream send up through onion fumes, its white and violet, fight with fried potatoes and yesterday's garbage ripening in the hall, flutter or sing an aria down these rooms? Even if we were willing to let it in, had time to warm it, keep it very clean, anticipate a message, let it begin. We wonder, but not well, not for a minute. Since number 5 is out of the bathroom now, we think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it. Okay, so just like Harlem, let's start with repetition. And I think what we notice from the beginning is the word dream, first of all, right here. And I think it kind of draws our attention here being, capitalized, having quotation marks with it. We also get dream over here. And then just like in Harlem, there's times where it brings up this idea of the dream, but using the word it, even if we're willing to let it in, the dream had time to warm it, keep it very clean, anticipate a message, let it begin. This is not the dream, right? We think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it. This would be the lukewarm water this time, so that one actually not referring to the dream. But we do get this dream at least 6 times here, including when it's referred to as it. So again, same thing. What's going on with this dream? One of the reasons that I put these two poems together is it seems like they're both interested in this same issue, dream, and I think, like I suggested when I was talking about Harlem, that we can think about this in terms of I have a dream speech, the dream that has to do with civil rights or equality. Let's see what that would mean for this poem, and let's keep going with it. Okay, so what's it trying to tell us about this dream? Great and gray. Dream makes a giddy sound, not strong. So dream makes a giddy sound. So my question for you would be giddy, good or bad? Is that something that, are they trying to tell us something positive or something negative about the dream? A giddy sound. So, giddy is generally kind of childish, laughing, giggling, kind of uncontrollably, not realistic, not adult, So I would say it's probably more bad, and bad specifically in those ways. And then we get this, makes a giddy sound, not strong. Strong, we know, is going to be a good thing. So we can already see that there's kind of a negative appraisal of the dream here. Not strong, like rent, feeding a wife, and satisfying a man. So I would also ask you, were I with you now, what do these things have in common? Rent, feeding a wife, satisfying a man. How do those go together? Why are those set up in contrast to the dream? So I would say, obviously, rent, feeding, those things are more economic, the material kind of realities of life in terms of having to pay your rent, needing to get food. Obviously, satisfying a man is more sexual, but even with that, it's still more material. I think these are all very material interests, where these two, maybe we can say, have something to do with economics. Satisfying man is still a material interest. The things that we have to do, the things that make up the meat and bones of our life, right? So it's kind of, from the very beginning, it has this contrast between dream, again, and it almost makes it seem like they're making fun of it by having it capitalized in quotation marks. It's almost like when people kind of ironically use like that little like TM at the top of something to like make fun of something as if that was their trademark. It seems like they're kind of doing that with this idea of the dream. So they're already setting up a contrast here. Let's move to the next stanza. But could a dream send up through onion fumes, its white and violet, fight with fried potatoes, and yesterday's garbage ripening in the hall, flutter or sing an aria down these rooms? Okay, so we start off with the dream again, and then we get a couple of things here that has to do with the food, right? We have onion fumes, we have fried potatoes, then, not literally food, but I guess food that's gone bad, garbage ripening in the hall. So we have all this stuff about food. I think also the setting of the poem kind of becomes apparent here. The mention of, in the hall. Why is the garbage in the hall and not outside or something like that? Well, it goes back to our title, Kitchenette Building. What we're dealing here with here is an apartment building. Probably maybe closer to a tenement building or something like that. I feel like what we're talking about here are definitely kind of shitty apartment buildings. The garbage ripening in the hall, I think, fits that in. Onions and potatoes, while they're common foods that everyone eats, they're also very cheap foods. And then we'll talk again about the last stanza when I get. I'll go there now. So, and then the last two lines, this may seem a little confusing probably at first, since number 5 is out of the bathroom now. We think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it. Number 5, I think, is something confusing to us. What I believe they're referring to here is that the apartments didn't have their own bathrooms. People did not have their own private bathrooms for themselves and their families. There were bathrooms in the hall, the way that maybe some college dorms maybe still have this if you've been to some other schools. So I think what they're talking about there is number 5. Maybe the people who live in apartment number 5 are out of the bathroom now, so you have to get on it, right? Before somebody else gets in there. Something I'm sure we're all dealing a lot with, being stuck in our houses with our families, of having to wait for people to get out of the bathroom. If you didn't already have to deal with that, I know I'm having to deal with a lot of that at this point, so I can relate a little bit. We think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it, because they're afraid the water's going to run out, right? Because why? Why are they afraid of that? Because they live in this kind of, awful apartment building. We think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it. Okay, so in this stanza, kind of throughout the whole poem, like I was saying, we have this kind of two things. We have this kind of dream stuff, and we'll talk more about what goes with that, versus, kind of this like material, I don't know, material reality. I don't know how to say it exactly. But all these kind of things that make up our lives, the food, the buildings that we live in, everything like that. So this last line here, flutter or sing an aria down these rooms. Aria is kind of like an opera song, right? Or we probably don't really know very much. An aria is a certain kind of opera music. I'm not even exactly sure what it is. So, but could the dream, go through all these things and flutter, sing an aria down these rooms? So something that's associated with the dream, they called it giddy before, now they're associating it with like opera. It's definitely, I don't know, kind of like lofty, this kind of like lofty rhetoric that goes in it. Just kind of like big ideas, right? Oh, opera, a dream. All this kind of stuff. It's like kind of highfalutin language, I guess would be another way to say it. Okay, let's move to this stanza. Even if we were willing to let it in, had time to warn it, keep it very clean, anticipate a message, let it begin. We already said here, I think the it that they're referring to is the dream. Even if we were willing to let it in. So I think what they're saying here is like, so up here they're asking, could the dream send up all its stuff through these things? Even if we had ideal conditions for it, even if we were willing to accept the dream, even if we had time, we didn't have had time away from our jobs to like think about this. If we kept it very clean, if it didn't get messed up by the garbage in the hall and all of those sorts of things, let it begin. So it's like, even if we had perfect conditions, could we accept this dream? Could we figure it out? Could we make it something that works? We wonder. But not for a minute. Since number 5 is out of the bathroom now, we think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it. So they're kind of wondering about that. It says wonder. They're wondering, could this dream take hold? Could it cut through, the potatoes that we're frying, the garbage in the hall, the onions? Could this dream cut through the material realities of this kind of lower class life, to try to help people, to actually try to get equality? If we're operating with the dream having something to do with equality, as I suggested before. So they're wondering about this, and thinking about it, like, could it work? But then what happens here? You're brought back to reality. Number 5 is out of the bathroom now. You think lukewarm water, hope to get in it. There's something kind of more material here than the lukewarm water, of just thinking about having to take a cold shower, and how immediate that concern is, and how when you're worried about having warm water, are you really going to take the time to think about this kind of stuff, to think about dreams and equality and civil rights and how equality can be achieved in the country? That there's some kind of disconnect, I believe the poem is trying to show us, between all this stuff about the dream and its kind of highfalutin, lofty language, and the material reality that most people face. Of having to cook, of having to make sure you get in the bathroom before all the hot water is gone. So I think we could say in general that this poem is kind of critical of the dream that's being suggested here. Right? It makes it giddy. It's like we don't have time to think about this. We have to live our, our real fucking lives. It's easy for, the academics and the rich people basically to sit there and ponder, wow, what would it be like if we were all equal? But when you're a poor person, you have time to think about that. You have to go to your fucking job. You got to make sure you get in the water before it gets cold. So I do think there's something critical from this poem about this idea of a dream. I don't really know where to go from there though. I would ask you, what exactly is like the message about the dream here? So this is where I think it's important for all of us, about how we need to be specific with our arguments and our thesis. Is it just to say that it's showing us something negative about the dream? That's not really an argument. That seems kind of obvious. What exactly is it trying to show us about this dream? What is wrong about this dream? Well, I guess we've already said it doesn't match up with people's material reality. It doesn't maybe speak to poor people or something like that. So what I'm not sure about, and what I'm going to open up to you and ask you to think about and respond to in our discussion thread today about this poem is, does the poem, like, since there's like a problem with this dream, abandon, spelled that wrong. Since there's a problem with this dream, since it doesn't fit people's material realities of living in a shitty apartment, should we abandon this dream? Does it just not work? Is it just out of touch and can't be used? And it's something that we need to move beyond or get past? Or is it that like the dream, I don't know, needs, I'm sure you can't even read this, but does the dream need to be corrected? Do we need to like fix the dream so that it does address? Like, is she saying, okay, this dream seems like a good thing, but it's gotta be changed in a way to match up with poor people's lives, to speak to the lives that real people are living to get them on board. So I don't know. I think those are at least two possible ways to go with the message of like, she's saying, fuck this idea of a dream. It's nothing. It's not going to get us anywhere. Or okay, this is a good project. Trying to get equality this way, trying to improve our social standing, but we need to change the way that we're talking about this so that it speaks to the lives of working people. I can see it kind of going either way, and I'm not totally sure, and I'm sure there's other interpretations as well. So I think that's what I have for you with Kitchenette building today. Um, so yeah, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.